Should you pull Claudia with your hard-earned dark crystals or should you skip? Yo, Xnel here, and Claudia is coming out on September 15. You might be wondering whether you should pull for her or not, and I'm here to help you out. We're gonna be covering her kit and what role she plays in the game and how she's gonna fare throughout the life of the game, at least my opinions and my speculations, so do take this with a grain of salt. Claudia is a high charge. She's got 12 charge. Physical DPS character. Note that we are looking at the CN version right now. This is from towerfantasy.info. This is CN numbers, so there will be changes coming into global. There has been leaks from Sova on Twitter. There has been a buff, so to say, for Claudia. I do want to refer to this as a balancing because I do think that global is really trying their best to balance the game and not to implement too much power creep, and at the same time have all of the characters, even the 1.0 characters, still be viable and not be obsolete once the 2.0 and 3.0 characters in the future come out. So yeah, we do have these changes. She has been buffed from the CN, and this leak is still subject to change, so I don't want to dive too deep on these changes on the numbers because one, they are subject to change, and number two, we don't really know what this means until we actually get to try the character out. Let's go back here. In the CN version, she does not have the physical resonance, but since Frigg in the global version has the physical resonance, it is basically confirmed that Claudia is gonna get the physical resonance. And this is also true with the leaks. She is getting the physical resonance for global. So who should be getting Claudia? Number one, if you are watching this and you are a Shiro main, you gotta get Claudia because Claudia is going to provide physical resonance and gonna deal more damage with physical, giving you 15% more physical attack when paired with physical characters. And so far, there's only one physical character, SSR, in the game, and that's Shiro. Now, in the future, we are going to get Lyra, who is going to be a physical support. If you like Lyra, if you like her gameplay, you want to plan ahead, then you want to get Claudia right now to be able to make a physical DPS team because they will benefit from each other. Who else should get Claudia? It's actually not just people who want physical teams. This is the interesting part about Claudia. Unlike Frigg, who benefits frost weapons a lot, and therefore you want to pair her up with frost weapons as much as possible, Claudia is still very much a great pick for non-physical teams. The reason for that is, with advancements, she works great as a damage buffer, kinda like Tsubasa. You see, you can put Tsubasa in multiple teams and she will perform well. Because with Tsubasa, once you get her advancements, her dodge attack will provide a damage buff to your character. Claudia works similarly, but instead of the dodge attack, she actually gives a damage buff from her skill and her discharge. Her advancement 1 will give you an 8% damage buff for 25 seconds, and it stacks up to 3 times. And the way you get this damage buff is by using her skill and her discharge. Each use of the skill only grants 1 stack. So to get the maximum stacks of the damage buff, you'd have to use your discharge and then your skill. Her skill cooldown is 15 seconds. So you will have to come back to her after the cooldown is done to get the 3 stacks. Her maximum damage bonus from A1 is 24%, which is higher than Tsubasa's A1. Tsubasa only gives 15% at A1 and it only lasts for 15 seconds. Claudia gives 24% for 25 seconds. However, it is kind of harder to get the maximum stacks. With Tsubasa, you just have to dodge attack. Depending on the number of enemies, you might have to do it only once. Maybe you have to do it 3 times. So this means if you are going to main Claudia, you can do it at A0. But if she is going to be your 3rd pick, your sub DPS damage buffer, where you already have, for example, a main DPS and you already have a shatter character, and then your 3rd pick is a flex pick and you want Claudia in there, I think it is a must that you go for the A1 because that damage buff is huge. A3 also provides a little bit of a damage buff, but I don't think it is a big deal. So if you are only a small spender or F2P, it is okay to stop at A1. A5, however, if you are willing to spend a little bit more, A5 provides another insane damage buff. Hitting targets with a skill or discharge skill grants a skill damage boost, which increases all weapon skill damage by 20% for 25 seconds. So once you use your skill or discharge skill, you are going to get a 20% damage boost on weapon skill. There is something that we have to address about A5, and that in the leak, the wording has been changed. Now, I'm not 100% sure if this wording is just a translation error or the effect actually has been changed. So in the CN version, the A5 will give you a damage buff on your weapon skills. But in the leak, it says that all damage will be increased by 20%. If that is true, then that is a huge buff. for Claudia, and I think it could be broken. So you're getting 24% from A1, and you're getting another 20% from A5. So that's a 44% damage buff for 25 seconds. Now, if you also take into account A3, you could also be getting another 10% if you're using a physical weapon. That's a 54% damage buff, which is nuts. Again, we don't know if this actually is a change from just skill damage to now all damage. And if it is, oh man, if you're a whale, you gotta get A5. You just have to get A5 if you are somebody who is gonna spend on this game. It's so good, dude. It's so good. I want to get that at some point. Just imagine you have your main DPS, or it could be Claudia. You're using Claudia's main DPS, and then you have your Shatter character, probably Shiro, and then you use another buffer character, Tsubasa, and you get so much damage buffs. It's just gonna be insane. So you can see the point I'm trying to make, that even if you don't use physical teams, Claudia is still going to be a really good pull that you can use for many different teams. She's kind of like a Bennett in that sense, if you play Genshin Impact. Some people get triggered in the comments. She is going to be a flexible character, and I think that if I am right, that Global is going to continue to do a good job with balancing characters and future characters in the game, then I think Claudia is going to stand the test of time and be viable in many different team comps even in the future, just because of how her damage buff works. That's up to you. That's my speculation, and I do believe that Global is going to do a good job. I hope so. The Claudia matrices, the first and foremost, I don't recommend, and I say this every time, I don't recommend F2P or low spenders to even think about, don't even touch or think about the limited matrix banner, because it is a whale's territory. So first, you are gonna run out of currency just trying to get the character. You won't even have enough to get the limited matrices. If you go for the 2-piece limited matrix, and at the worst case scenario you don't get it, you will need 160 pulls to buy 2 pieces from the shop. And if you want to get the 4 pieces, at worst case, you're gonna need 320 pulls. You're not gonna get the 4-piece, but maybe the 2-piece is attainable. Well, the thing is, the 2-piece of Claudia isn't even that good. Her 2-piece set only benefits your mid-air hits. When you play the game, you know you're not fighting in the air a lot of the time. You're switching between characters, you're using skills and discharges, you're comboing, you're trying to shatter. The 2-piece set is very, very niche, and I don't think you should spend any currency trying to get a 2-piece set. The 4-piece set seems really good. It's really good. So if you are a whale, why not? I'm not gonna stop you. Go get the 4-piece set. The F2P option. So with Claudia, I think you should be getting, same with any other main DPS, the 2-piece Samir, which just gives you 10% more damage, and the 2-piece Crow, which gives you more crit damage, and this gains more value the later in the game we are, the higher crit rate we have. We are going to do a full Claudia guide once she comes out in the game. Turn on notifications if you don't want to miss that out. And if you found this video valuable or helpful, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe, because that really does help us out a lot. Also, you can join our Discord for the Tower Fantasy community that you can talk to and find party members and hang out with. It's a great place to be in. I also go live on fb.gg/xnlph, and I'll see you there.